First deployed in the year 231 WS, the Morko-class drone carrier was the United Mreeg Republic's attempt to diversify their fleet with more utility and to improve in the theatre of space drone combat for the Allied coalition, due to the other members' lack of carriers. The Morko-class carrier uses many of the same components from the Gleam-class gun frigates to save on time and cost, but with many improvements and alterations. For starters, the previously unstable nuclear reactor from the Gleam class was also used in the Morko class, but without the power-hungry railguns and with better power regulators and internal coolant systems installed. The thermal spikes were managed in a far safer manner than before, allowing for the external radiators to be moved and to be replaced with decent armor protection. During the development of the Morko class, artificial gravity plating was invented by aeronaut scientists and the blueprints were shared among the coalition members. But the Morko class was too close to finishing its final production stage to take advantage of this new technology for crew comfort, but a different method was devised for the emerging technology. By implementing the grav plating in a similar manner as a railgun, the drone launch system would be able to deploy its drones rapidly without having to use fuel for takeoff. The most impressive maneuver using this method of launch system were devised by captains of Morko carriers. The tactic was to initiate a flip and deceleration burn at an enemy formation. With their ventral launch bays facing towards them for a time, the carrier would cold launch all their drones at once, essentially making them invisible to heat sensors and potentially being filtered out as inert space junk by less sophisticated radar, giving the Morko class an advantage in surprise and combat longevity, as the drones used little fuel to get into combat range and did not accumulate any thermal buildup beforehand. The Morko class carrier comes in at a length of 368 meters, a height of 107 meters, and a width of 116 meters. It's only barely smaller than the Gleam class frigate. Additionally, because the Morko has less power draining weapons, it can shunt the extra power into its Type 3M ion thrusters, purchased from the Bradal National's fleet yards of the Hakan Sovereignty, for improved forward or reverse thrust, making the carrier deceptively fast and agile. The Morko class carrier is armed with a defensive screen of 18 laser turrets, but because of where the drone launch bays are positioned, there is less turret coverage in that area, making a potential weak spot for torpedoes and drones maneuverable enough to get there. Encased in two flanking pods at the front of the carrier are the torpedo bays, fitted with 32 medium and 24 heavy launchers, giving the carrier the ability to be a torpedo artillery platform when needed, but more often than not, the Morko's torpedoes are programmed to intercept other enemy torpedoes and missiles from long range. The primary tool of the Morko carrier is its contingent of drones, fielding either 24 Akoth fighter drones for anti-ship missions or 24 Akatus hunter drones for anti-drone operations. Unfortunately, because of the differing dimensions of the two drones, it is difficult to hold both types in the same hangar. Later during the Uprising War, the aeronauts military delivered a shipment of newly made A5 pattern drop pods, giving the Morko orbit-to-ground support and station boarding capabilities, able to deliver either 3 Hakan or aeronaut combat teams or Mreeg commandos for biological warfare against Durian corporate security. Near the end of the Uprising War, it was the Morko class carriers that loomed over the sites of many of the corporate conglomerate's headquarters, sending both drone fighter support and ground forces to apprehend corporate CEOs and their shareholders, and to support the local Durian revolutionaries who wished to reconstruct their civilian government. The coalition's offensive into core conglomerate territory was advancing so quickly in fact, that many Morko-class carriers had to pull logistics duties to compensate and to keep the front well stocked on ammunition, fuel and supplies. After the Uprising War, the Morko-class carrier helped escort equipment and supplies to war-torn planets to aid in the reconstruction efforts alongside the United Damari nations, and later became a patrol craft within Mreeg territory, seeking out pirates and rogue mercenary groups. The Morko-class drone carrier was a significant power multiplier for the Allied coalition and the later League Navy, because it was the main and only mass-produced carrier for the time, setting and becoming the standard of what modern space drone combat looked like. Its influence can be seen on the carriers of other League member navies even today.
Like and subscribe for more from the archives.